Greetings, Star Citizens, and welcome to Flight Deck. This is a weekly podcast about Star Citizen and other gamer culture topics. I'm your host, Link Static MDK, and with me, as always, is Paper Thin.
Hey guys.
And still doing our sound setup, so it might change, it might be good, we don't know. We'll assume it's good until we hear otherwise. Today's topics, we have Around the Verse, episode 41. We have Reverse the Verse, episode 44. The Cap Sale, Design, Cargo Interaction, A Haul for Every Job, the Missed Call series, 10 for the Artists, episode 1, and 1.1.2 is now live on the PTU. So a lot of interesting stuff came out this week, at least more than we had last week. Yeah. Let's jump right into Around the Verse 41. So this one was 37 minutes and 32 seconds long. And did you notice the Disco Lando with Billy D. Williams photo they had pinned in the back wall? That was awesome.
Yes, I did. That was pretty hilarious.
I'm like, oh, that's great.
That is good.
That I approve. So, unfortunately, no Empire report this time. I think it's because they've recorded all the new ones and they're still trying to, set up the backgrounds and all that stuff. But,
Yeah.
Still, it makes me sad.
I know, I was a little sad. I wanted to see it, but oh well. Maybe next time.
Well, we have the intro for this one was about the free flight racers. I think that's done now. 1.1.2 tutorial mode coming out. They also talked about, we'll be talking a little bit more about that. Free flight we talked about last week, so not going to go in depth. And then Ben's birthday apparently was over, and they went to Star Wars Celebration for it, so that's pretty cool.
That would be a pretty sweet way to celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, well, at least for a nerd. I mean, if you're not a nerd and you don't care about Star Wars, it's not that sweet, but presumably it was sweet for Ben.
Those people suck.
That's true. I agree. Well, and then we have the Spectrum news. Let's jump right in. We have Santa Monica with Darian and Eric. Eric is new. He's a new senior producer, apparently hired that day that they shot the video, so that was, odd. That'd be a weird first day.
Would be a little.
It's like, greetings and welcome to the job. Now go record for our fans who have no idea who you are. Sweet.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, then we have they have Shotgun Software, which is something they're working on for resource management tools for tips and blah blah blah. It sounds like it's an in-house thing or something like that. I haven't heard of it before, but I haven't heard about most of those, so
right.
It could be very well known. I just have no idea.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it either. But then again, I would not have a reason to ever hear of it since I don't deal with that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, we have the Hall series they also mentioned, which they had a nice long design posts incorporated with, which is pretty cool, and the cargo system that goes along with that, which was the design post. So
yeah,
sweet stuff. It's good that we're finally getting an idea of how that's all going to work, because it's presumably going to be like a huge portion of the game. Like, I figure like cargo running and transporting is going to at least be 20% of this game.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty significant part of this game.
Like, you don't have to do it, but it sounds like they're making it so that anybody can do it at any time, and it can be a viable employment option.
Yay.
Yay, yeah.
Space trucking, yay.
Burnt, burnt. We also had Ilphonic with Chad and David. They're talking about Sadaball. Apparently, they're getting rid of the Versus mode, and it's going to be straight up Sadaball in the 0G, which I kind of agree with, because I wasn't a huge fan of their Versus mode, where like they just have to get a person through the goal. Like, that seems way too easy. Whereas if you've got to get a ball through the goal, that seems a lot harder and way more viable of a gaming mode.
Right, especially considering how difficult it is to be accurate, it sounds like, in FPS.
Yeah.
Like, trying to shoot someone as they're, like, going for, they're flying towards the objective. Like, that's just going to be really challenging.
Right.
That makes sense.
Am I sad that they got rid of the combat? A little bit, but if it doesn't work well as a game mode, then it's gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
We also had weapon balancings being done, so, they're reworking the recoil system and trying to make it better, more modern. They're also doing a lot of switching of the audio system to allow their FPS to have a better sounding soundscape with reverberation, echoing, all of that. So still some FPS work going in. Shocker.
Yeah.
This is my surprised voice.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, from some of the stuff they were saying, it sounds like we'll be getting in about a month. So I think you'll be okay not being around for a week. It probably
Yes.
won't drop within the next week or so when you're gone.
Yeah, it sounds like 1.1.2 is in the PTU, which means yeah, we can't be anywhere near like a
Oh
month
no, yeah,
until
yeah,
FPS at least. So
which is good because you'll be around for it.
yay!
Yay! Well, then we had Austin, where we had Jake and Brian. They're reworking the male skeleton to make it better for mocap, due to some of the feedback they got from their Imaginarium. They also are working on the grabby hands functionality, which is a little bit in that cargo design post they talk about it. Essentially, it's grabby hands allows you to move stuff in game.
Right.
So you can pick stuff up, move it around, put it in other things, move that object after you put stuff in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks really neat. I mean, it's a very pretty unique system. I can't think of any games where I've seen anything quite like it. I mean, a lot of games it's just press E to interact with it, and it just
Right.
magically like teleports into you,
So
and you
like
absorb it.
in Oblivion and Skyrim, you could pick stuff up and drop it in game. I remember that.
Oh,
So
could you?
you could like kind of put stuff on tables. It was really bad though. it was it was not like you just kind of hover it in midair, move it over, and drop it, and there it goes. So
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought of, but I haven't really thought of anything game wise that was like, oh, you got a fully interactive environment like that.
Right, should be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and then they were saying you can use grabby hands to decorate your hangers, but I wasn't super excited about that. I don't really care. Like, that's one of those things I do in games when I've literally bored and have done everything else.
Right.
Then I worry about decorating my hanger. It's like when I got Lore Master and Explorer on WoW. I'd literally done everything else. I was leading a raid, every week. This was what I was doing in my off hours when I couldn't raid because I'd done it, on all my characters. I'll get Lore Master. Why not?
Right. I've done that stuff too in games where I'm like, bored now, gonna do something absurd in it.
Yeah.
Let's see what absurd task I can complete.
Well, then we had Foundry 42 with Lee and Stefan. We're talking about going to the Pinewood Studios where they did some work on the FPS sound for armor types, etc., which sounded really cool actually. Like that's one of those jobs I kind of wish I had where you're a sound engineer and you're like making sounds with props. That
Yeah.
that always seemed like something sweet that I would enjoy doing, and then I didn't go into it at all when I should have.
I did some of that in college actually. I took a couple of sound design classes that were actually theater classes.
Hmm.
And did like sound designs for like plays where I'd make my own sounds and ambient noises and all that stuff and like put it together for a play.
I
Like
I
I did
really
The
should have
Tempest.
I should have done that instead of computer science. I think I would have had way more fun.
I had a blast. It was a hell of a
Yeah.
fun class. Yeah.
I probably would have had to take like way more engineering courses and all that though. So that would have been the downside.
Yeah. Well, I kind of did it, since my emphasis was acoustics.
Yeah.
So I kind of did sound design as like a add on to that. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like a
Mhm.
natural extension of what I was interested in learning. And of course, now I do absolutely nothing with it.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
how college works, right? You go there for 4 years, you waste money, and then you come out
That's
and do something
that's how
completely
college
different.
works for you. College worked just fine for me. I actually learned stuff I use every day, but
Well, la di da.
I went into a field where my major had some relation, at least.
And how's that working out for you?
Actually, pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Good.
Actually, incredibly good, as you well know
Yeah,
with recent news. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. Anyway, God, what were we talking about? You made me lose my place.
Doing sounds.
Oh, and they're also talking about they have their new audio engine, which they're being used to set up all these gun sounds as well. So that's why FPS is quote unquote delayed for another month or whatever, even though we were supposed to get it back in the beginning of March or something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we kind of figured it'd be a couple months longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, every time they give us a tentative release, like I don't even believe it's coming out in a month.
Yeah, it
Like,
could be later.
It's gonna be 2 months at this rate, and like we're not getting a PU at the end of the year like they were
No.
initially talking. We're getting that like halfway through next year at this point.
That's pretty much what I figured.
The way everything keeps getting pushed back, there's no way.
Yeah. I don't mind. I'm
Yeah.
not super like impatient for this game. I am very happy for them to take their time and make it awesome.
Yeah. Well, then we also have the fan video Shooting Seraphs submitted by Rendrite Gruth. Get easier names. Like, where's Bob Smith? Seriously, submitted by Bob
Rian,
Smith.
Riandrite
Riandrite
Guruthus?
Guruthos?
There you go.
Sure. We'll go. Link static, it's not hard to pronounce. I'm just throwing that out there. Paper thin, easy to pronounce. Riandrite Guruthos? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Come on.
This isn't Dungeons and Dragons, guys. We don't need to make up like super complicated weird names.
Rogar the Destroyer.
I'm kidding. Actually, I think it's kind of a cool name.
It is a good name. I just can't pronounce it because I'm bad at pronouncing. Anyway, so this was a video that they submitted of it's essentially a bug of a guy, a character model, being shot out of the front of his ship repeatedly. It looked ridiculous and it was hilarious too.
That was really funny.
I wish I could shoot characters. I wonder if you can like hire NPCs to be ammo.
It'd be pretty sweet, actually.
Like you load them up in your torpedo bays, you just launch them at ships.
Yeah, why not? Strap a bomb to them and away they go. There's no. It's not like their aerodynamics matter in space.
And think of like the terror factor. It's like, oh man, they're shooting people at us. Those guys are badass. We don't want to mess with them.
These dudes have no regard for human life.
Clearly none. Yeah. Well, then we had Subscribers Corner with Alexis. She was interviewing Christine March and Dave Richard, who are two of the people behind all the subscriber flair. So, it was who makes it and where does it come from, kind of. So for that, they were talking about the general process. It goes from design to concept to the art team, then from there to the stuff in your hangar. So kind of follows the same methodology as the ships and the guns and everything else.
Right.
Some of their favorite flair they've come out with: the locker, ship models, the liquor cabinet, fish tank. The cool ones. I doubt like the posters are anybody's favorite flair.
No, nobody thinks those are cool.
Nope.
Yeah. Wow, we just like totally pissed off somebody who's listening.
It's like, I bought every single poster. You guys suck. Well, and then we have the limits to flare. So they're trying to take care and great pains to make sure it doesn't affect the performance, but also keep the quality high. So, you don't want like a million polygons for a ship model that's a tiny little ship on your desk, but you still want it to look good. Room system they're adding will help with the performance, so they're not going to let you to overload a room with too much flare, essentially, when you have thousands of flare in the game, because they're going to limit like where you can place stuff based on the rooms, which makes sense.
I want to like.
You're not going to have like 1,000 posters in a room.
No, I want to. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. It's my hangar. You're not my dad.
Whatever. I am your dad. I went back in time. That's how it works.
Thanks, Fry.
And then, then we have upcoming collections of space items to place around are going to be coming, and including space plants.
Woo! Which they constantly threw at us.
More
space plants. Look, more space plants. Hey guys, did we mention their space plants?
I don't want a space plant because then I gotta water it.
Right.
Unless it's like cacti. Are they like cacti?
Maybe. We don't know what kind of space plants they are yet.
If they're like cacti, then I'm on board. If they're not like cacti and I have to water them, then I don't want one. I'll use those instead of people to shoot out of my torpedo launchers.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah. After that, we had a game balance discussion between Matt and Mark, and this is so much better use of Mark's time than freaking Bug Smashers. I'm sorry, but like having him talk about the stuff like this instead of through Bug Smashers, so much better.
Yup.
So they kind of went into the physical damage system, where they've got now all these items are physicalized and they've got mass and speed, and that matters. And they also talked a little bit about how the energy weapons work, where you've got energy, velocity, energy density. So your projectiles don't really lose damage when they slow down, but they can be absorbed. So they work a little bit different from the ballistic weapons, obviously. And their biggest gameplay challenge is taking these abstract values and change them to a unified values that make more sense. Because previously, when they didn't use physics, they could just say, oh, we'll have this value and it's a 4, and we'll have that value and it's a 3, and it's just kind of whatever arbitrary number they decided on.
Right. This was actually super interesting, because this has a lot of interesting implications for dogfighting, because now you can't just, be really slow relative to your target, because then your bullets aren't going to do as much damage. But if your bullets, if you're able to make your bullets hit your target at a faster speed than even if they shoot out of the gun, it sounds like, then they'll do
Mhm.
more damage. So it's super interesting. Like I was really excited about this.
Well, and then we went to Bug Smashers after that.
Ugh. I mean,
They're
Bug
like
Smashers.
when they said everybody's favorite Bug Smashers, I was just like, oh man, really? Is that like a jibe against Flight Deck? Have they been
It
watching
probably
us?
is.
Just dang it!
We've already confirmed that they've watched us from changes they've made before.
Oh
So
yeah. Changes following the previous week's episode. Yeah, we know they're yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, what
No
do we
amount of
talk about
hubris.
in this week's Bug Smashers, Link?
Well, what? You don't want to keep with our hubristic argument about how great we are? So first thing I want to mention, they had the Adam West Batman versus Christopher Reeve Superman background on the monitor. Have you seen that trailer on YouTube where they took the Batman versus Superman trailer and transposed like the old Adam West Batman and Christopher Reeve's Superman video to it?
No, I
It's
heard
pretty
about
good.
it.
It's
I
pretty
didn't
good.
watch it. Okay.
I didn't laugh until they like had this super serious dialogue in the background with Batman carrying a giant bomb above his head with like a fuse going. I was like, all right, now I'm on board. This is perfect.
I know that scene. I've seen that scene used before.
Oh yeah, the
And,
GIF is everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like this really serious moment, and
And he's
there's
got that cartoon bomb.
it made me laugh. Anyway, the Jar Jar reference they made makes me hate Bug Smashers even more. I didn't think that was possible. Anyway, so we had the turret bug that was this one where people randomly spawn, the turret will rotate towards a random asteroid or player or game object, and it wouldn't lock on correctly towards any targets. And essentially, this was a problem with an uninitialized variable. So anybody who's done programming knows if you don't initialize a variable, it can be whatever the hell the system decides to make it. So
Even I
sometimes
know that.
yeah, sometimes this happens to be an actual value that exists. Not all the time, just randomly. So it's
Right.
surprising to me that they caught this, given the amount of possibilities that this value could have been.
Yeah.
So anyway, because of this, they fixed it, but now they're doing mandatory code reviews, which is kind of every coder's nightmare when you're looking at another person's code and trying to figure it out. So even if like there are standardized practices, like you look at another person's code, or even if you look at like your own code 6 months after you've written it and you completely forgot about it, it's a nightmare. It's like, oh crap, because there could be like 40 things wrong, and it reads fine when you look through it, but then you look through it again and so forth. But
Right.
pretty much a mandatory code review is like you get a group of like 6 programmers in a room all looking at the same code going, all right, what about this, this, and this? It's really annoying. Unless they found a better way to do it.
It doesn't sound fun to me, but
It's-
maybe they have a new
stupid.
way.
It's
Yeah.
really stupid work, frankly.
Uh,
Anyway, then we had our second van video, which is the remote self-destruct submitted by Frog of Knowledge. Thank you for this golf clap. Frog of Knowledge is way easier than whatever the hell the other one was. So this was a video where the guy kills the other guy and steals a ship, and then the dead guy self-destructs his ship to kill him back. But I was less like laughing at this because we've totally done that,
Yeah.
ourselves. It's not like, oh my god, this is amazing, but
yeah, this one was kind of weak in my opinion. I mean, I've done this multiple times with you.
right, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It's
Anyway.
still probably something a lot of people don't know about. That's probably why they figured
Yeah.
it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, then we had the animation discussion after this with Steve Bender and Lance Powell, which was pretty interesting. We had essentially, who is Steve Bender? He's the animation director and does a lot of different stuff. For example, he'll do mocap, which is the shot motion capture that they do with their guys in the little funny outfits and the little balls stuck to them everywhere. So they did a lot of their motion capture for like using the stocked rifle, moving in heavy armor, how the Vandal move, persistent universe actions, aircraft carrier footage, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that would be this. I want to do sound design and I want to do mocap. Those are the two things I think I would have a lot of fun doing and would never get bored doing.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, they're very detail oriented. It sounds like, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
And then you talked a little bit about some of the stuff that goes involved with that, like jukes, where you have solid weight shifts for the character motion and like how they don't always look right when you see them in video games, and they're trying to make them look like actual how a person would move,
Right.
which was pretty sweet. Arena Commander, they did a lot of the ship entering and exiting, and they built ships on set, quote unquote, which is probably just,
Ooh.
a chair with some cardboard boxes around it that they then,
Right.
used as props. But, the way he said it made them go, oh, you built ships on set. Oh, okay, yeah.
Can we have pictures, please?
Yeah, I would love to fly an actual Hornet.
Oh my god.
That'd be fun. I'd
That'd
vomit.
be
I would vomit hard, but it would be fun. And then for that, they also had some exiting, and they talked about like the 3 types of exiting, which they hadn't really talked about before, but totally makes sense. There's normal, which is kind of a slow paced, you enter and exit. Combat, where you kind of like go a little bit faster and you're trying to like get in as quick as possible, with all your gear and everything. And then there's emergency, which is like the crisis. Oh God, get me out of here quick, or get me into it quick.
Yep.
Which I don't know. That brought up a discussion between them about, oh, are we going to have like a penalty based on the type of entering that you do, and who knows?
Yeah, it is interesting. I'll be curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Well, and then he also talked about how CIG is differing from standard mocap because it isn't just humans that they're doing motion caption for.
Right.
It's, aliens. So, but I thought, isn't that kind of standard? Because don't you have like Golem and crap like that in Lord of the Rings? So I don't see why this is like so groundbreaking when you've had it in like movies and stuff for a while, where you've got alien creatures that they're doing motion capture for.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with you. I mean, I definitely remember seeing some of the behind the scenes of the Star Wars prequels, and they had people, walking funny to act like an alien.
Right.
And you're
Or like,
exactly right with your Gollum reference.
or like aliens. You've
Yeah.
got the aliens. They've got the dude wearing like a weird tail and head for the reference point of those.
Right.
I don't know.
And they have and they move in different ways. Like they tell you how to move. I mean, the way the aliens moved always kind of reminded me of like a velociraptor or something, in
Yeah.
in Aliens. And just stuff like that.
The hunched forward, lean in forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got the little
Lean
short
with the
arms.
mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, then also they did a discussion about the moral implications of killing the Death Star crew, because they weren't all evil. Some of them are contract. We've had this exact same discussion between the two of us.
Yep.
So that made me laugh a little bit, where it's like, well, Luke is technically a genocidal maniac because he killed like, millions of people, or I forget the actual numbers of people on the Death Star, but
at least hundreds of thousands.
Like, it makes Stalin and Hitler look like pussies. Luke single-handedly killed that many people. That's that's crazy.
Yeah, I read a great post about how the Jedi are actually like evil.
Oh yeah,
and
they totally are.
Yeah, they're actually not very good people.
No. Yeah. Anyway, then they went to their outro. So for the outro, they mentioned there's Gamescom tickets. I don't know if those are still available. I didn't check. Did you happen to see if those are still out there?
I would bet they're sold out, but I haven't looked.
Also, the Star Citizen hats. I know you bought one.
I did.
I could not buy one. We measured my head. It's too big. And it makes me sad. I do have a big head. It's because I'm so smart.
That's why it is, yeah.
Yep. It makes me sad. I wanted a hat. I can't wear most hats. My head is too big for most hats.
Your head is pretty huge.
Yep. Anyway, the 1.1.2 with the PTU releasing soonish, which now it has released, so cool. And the Hall series being released from size A to E, and we'll be talking about that soon. And the Cargo Design Post, which we'll also be talking about soon. And then their sneak peek they did in that stupid Pokemon style again.
I know.
I hate it. It was pretty much obviously a Hall series. Yep. I think like a B or C for what it was. That said, I never liked the Pokemon style, and like I never liked that show in general, so I
didn't either. I never got into Pokemon.
But you gotta catch them all.
I know. But I'm not.
So following this, we had Reverse the Force. Wow. Reverse the Force? It's because we've been talking about Star Wars, man. We had Reverse the Verse. Man, I can't say that 10 times fast. Episode 44. It was 42 minutes long and 55 seconds, so pretty long. I watched the whole thing. I know you didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing because you actually have a social life.
Sometimes, yeah.
So some of the specific questions for Travis: what are you working on? Answer FPS. They're getting ready for release and have final dates locked down, so they're trying to get working on that. That's good news to me.
Yay.
Also, the Hull series, they had some names turned down for when they were releasing it. He wanted to do Hullapalooza and Hull Lot of Ships and Highway to Hull.
Highway to Hull's
Which,
pretty good.
yeah,
I like that.
that's I have one that I want to pitch to you for our show title for this one.
Okay.
Holly, I Shrunk the Kids.
Not bad. Not bad.
Right.
I like that. It's not bad.
Or Hull of a Good Time.
Hull of a Good Time. That's good too.
That's very, yeah. I was very proud of myself for Holly, I Shrunk the Kids. I was like, oh, write that down. Click, click, click.
It's not bad. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Then they had their sneak peek. They talked about the Hull series Pokemon style. Travis thought it was a Starfarer, which is clearly wrong, Travis. You should know better. Come on. Then smaller Hull ships will be flying sooner. So essentially, that was news saying, obviously, the smaller Hull ships will get in hangar quicker and we'll be able to get them in the verse quicker, and the larger ones are going to take longer to make. Duh.
Not too surprising there.
Yeah. And if they come out sooner, it will be a whole lot of hangar. Was the pun. Oh, man. Then they had some questions for Lisa. What are you working on? Pretty much bringing structures and organization to pipelines. Same thing she was talking about last week. What is her favorite art and upcoming ships that she can't talk about?
Uh-oh.
So it was like, come on. I want to see them.
Yeah.
And then their overall goal is to just make stuff go faster. Some of the general talk that was touched on in Reverse the Verse was the damage state. Can you set up weapons to charge different values to do different stuff? And essentially, yeah, that's kind of what they're wanting to go for. Is you want to be able to like change your weapon options, so maybe your lasers shoot faster and have a lower recharge, or
that's interesting.
Stuff like that. But they weren't fully fleshed out because do you want to have them be able to shoot a bunch and then have to recharge for a long time, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, I figured it'd just be different gun models that would accomplish that, but I guess not, huh?
I don't know. It depends on like power management and all this stuff too. I mean, it works in Star Trek.
Oh,
right?
Well, if it works there,
more power to phasers, and
yeah,
they blow giant holes in ships. That's
right.
How it works, right?
Yes, that's exactly how it works. You're right.
Okay, good.
How could I forget?
Yeah, the stupid physics majors. Well, and then one of the jokes mentioned, which I like, Lisa was on fire with the jokes. Like, I like her personality the best because I think it's the most closest to how I would be in that situation where you're just cracking jokes that are slightly inappropriate.
She is funny. I do like her.
Because she's like, hey, Travis, have we shown them the D yet? And everybody's like, oh, God. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And then keeping people on task can be hard. They talk about a lot of different junk, but like some of the things that they touched on is they're having a 2D radar model for the new Aurora HUD, and they're also going to have that on the Merlin, which is pretty cool. I don't think we'd heard about that previously.
Not that I can remember.
The Org 2.0, Turbulent is currently working on, and for when it's coming out, it's going to take longer than you like, but sooner than you guess. So my guess would be 6 months, so 4 months, right?
Okay, sure. Let's roll with that.
Disco Lando talked about meeting Billy D. Williams, and that's awesome.
That is pretty sweet.
The Starfarer is in gray boxing. Banu Merchantman hasn't started modeling yet. The Caterpillar hasn't been started yet. The Carrack is not in modeling, and the Constellation's in gray boxing stage. And the reason all those are, they're trying to get what they can in quicker for when they finally move over to multi-crew. So
sure.
That's why the focus is on those. They're working more on ships that will be in the multi-crew patch in general, so don't expect your giant vessels in there, including my Reclaimer, which makes me sad.
Oh, wah.
And then somebody directly asked, is the Bengal going to be in Squadron 42 Episode 1? And he said, we're not going to answer because we don't want to spoil the plot, which to me means no. Right?
Maybe.
That's like something you bring in on like, Mission 12 or something. Or like, it's in there, but you see it briefly and you don't really interact with it. And then you like finally transfer over. It's not something you want to blow right away because it's the capital ship.
That's true. That would make sense. I think you're right on that.
They're also working on the Xi'an Volper. It's not going to be for sale, but will be in the PU. It's a modeling stage as well. I don't even know what that ship is, but it's the Xi'an. Or wait, is it Xi'an?
Xi'an now, yeah.
Oh,
It used to be Jean.
Yeah,
now it's Xi'an.
I'm all messed up.
I know. I can't keep it straight.
Yeah. One thing also asked was, can you eject your friends sleeping in escape pods? And Lisa answered yes if you're an asshole. So that's good.
Oh, so you're gonna do that to me? Great,
Yeah.
great. I'm looking forward to that.
How long have we known each other?
Way too long.
Just don't fall asleep in an escape pod. It's your fault.
It's my fault if I fall
Yeah.
asleep.
Um, Also, they asked Sandy, has the Star Citizen HOTAS contract been signed yet? And no. So,
Oh,
no news on the HOTAS. Sorry, guys.
come on.
And one exchange that I really liked was when Lisa was wearing the Star Citizen hat that they were showing off. She asked him, "Do I look cool to Disco Lando?" And he's like, "Are there two definitions to the word cool, and we're using the other one?" And she's like, "I'll do to you what was done to this chair." Their chair was all like ripped up and crap. It was pretty funny.
Oh no.
I like the dynamic that they have in general. Like everybody seems to get along well, which is necessary to like come out with any good product.
Right.
Because if you have one person who's like a dick, it really messes with the whole dynamic.
Well, it really does, because everyone, excludes that person,
Yeah.
and it's harder to get work done because you're not all on the same page.
And then they just keep being a bigger dick.
Right.
Because they've been excluded. So one of the things they also mentioned was they have their partnership with Google for the Black Fiber network, which they're hoping will help allow players to access across the globe and play with each other with reasonable ping times. So, knock on wood, hopefully that's true. Who knows?
That would be nice.
Yeah. They've also updated all the character models and are converting them to PBR, and their Galactopedia will be on the website, and they also are talking about having it maybe in the MobiGlass or on a giant terminal and system. We'll see how that works. And, a bunch of other stuff, but, I don't want to talk about Reverse the Verse for all the podcast time, so we're going to move on.
Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be nice to have that on the website. Just want to throw that out there. I'm really excited about that.
I look forward to spending hours just reading and reading and reading. Well, and then we also had the cap sale, which we mentioned. It was $20 per cap. You could get a Velcro or a snapback. Caps are one size fit most with an adjustable plastic snapback, and that was approximately 23 inches in circumference. And since it didn't fit me, you all have a general idea how giant my head is now. And they were out of the Velcro, actually. When I checked on Sunday, all they had was a snapback left. So they're probably sold out by now.
Yeah, I got a snapback. I prefer those, but...
Yeah. I don't like Velcro in general.
I'm not a huge fan either.
Yep. So,
sticks to stuff. Anyway.
Velcro sticks to stuff? No way!
I know.
Wow.
Crazy.
Cool. Bro, blowing my mind, bro. Well, then we had the design post for the cargo interaction. So let's jump right into that. Lots of cool stuff with this post. I highly recommend reading it. Even if you don't care about cargo, they talk a lot about interacting with real-world objects in-game, which everyone's going to do, so, there you go. There are 5 types of use cases in-game. Player to item, so that's stuff you can hold in 1 or 2 hands. Player to massive items, which is stuff that's too big for you to move, or you require a cargo drone or loader suits or whatever to move. Which to me means they're confirming that we'll have cargo drones and loader suits. Just throwing that out there.
Yep.
Player to container. There will be 2 types of containers: crates and tanks. They'll be able to be manipulated by players due to anti-grav pulsars, so you can essentially move them around inside of your hangar or on your ship. Player to pallet allows you to move containers as a group in bulk. So, if you have 20 containers, you don't want to move them all separately. You're going to have them all on a pallet and then just move the pallet. And player to cargo bay, which is a MobiGlass tie-in, so you can view and track items that are on your ship, which is pretty cool. They showed some screenshots of what that looks like.
Yeah, it's all very cool. I mean, it's pretty much what they've been talking about doing for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So it's good to see it all, confirmed.
Well, and then they also had a bunch of videos of actions in the post with their grabby hand stuff. So one of the videos was them grabbing and moving a cup and placing it on stuff and on shelves, and also had a box that he grabbed with 2 hands and lifted, and then they even did a coin flip where he's flipping a coin and catching it. And there was also a video of using a gun, so you're putting it in your holster, drawing it, pulling it out, that type of thing. And then also loading cargos with, you got the cargo nodes and you put stuff in them, so different size guns and so forth, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah, this all looked very, very cool.
Yeah. Well, then we also had containers and pallets, videos of actions in the posts where you had like you can kind of put decorations wherever they had like a picture frame that he was moving around his ship. You can also put items in the crates and move the crates, and items on the pallets and move the pallets. They showed that in action. The fact that this is all working, even in a test environment, was super impressive.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised with how far along they were. I was just expecting like pictures and descriptions, not actual
Right.
videos.
Like, granted, it was like short videos, but the fact that they had a short video working, showing how it works, it didn't look polished by any means, but that's like, I would not feel bad releasing that as a game,
Right?
the way they did it.
Exactly.
Man. Well, then we had their cargo bay. They showed you can lock containers in place and have a cargo stasis field that's on and off that will draw power. You can turn it off and still have stuff locked, but stuff might start floating around, and it looks so cool.
It does.
When cargo interaction, you've got the cargo manifest screen, which we talked about. There's also a status screen. You can arrange and jettison cargo. So, like, if you get pulled over by a pirate, right? And he's like, "Hey, jettison your cargo, I'll blow you up." You can literally do it.
Yeah, or if the cops are chasing you, you could jettison your cargo into a sun and be like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, officers. I didn't have any illegal drugs."
Hey, even I get boarded sometimes. You think I had a choice?
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. Anybody who doesn't get the joke, well, boo-hoo.
Wow. That's all I have to say is wow.
Yeah. And then they showed some concept art for some of the containers and loading jacks and stuff like that too, which looked pretty cool. So, it's just cargo and it's just moving stuff, but it's so cool looking. Like, why am I excited for putting stuff in a ship and moving it now?
I know.
It's so dumb.
I don't know if you caught it in the pictures of the different types of like ways to move cargo. They definitely have a thing that looks like Ripley's suit in Aliens
Yeah.
that she uses to fight the alien. Oh my god.
They
That
even
looks so
mentioned that
cool.
actually.
Did they?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, and you're also gonna have a thing like rupees." I think it was last week they were talking about it.
Okay, yeah, that might be it. But yeah, it looks really cool. I'm super excited about that.
Now, can we like convert it into a battle frame though?
Exactly.
And fight an alien? I mean,
Right. I want to play
I'm
Exo Squad in this game.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Right?
They need to make Exo Squad into a game. First, they need to bring Exo Squad back as a cartoon.
Yep.
Then they need to make it live action. Then they need to make it a game.
I'm all for all of that.
Yep. Oh man. I used to have all the toys. They were awesome. You
I
could
know.
shoot at stuff. It was great. Anyway, moving on to the Hall for Every Job post. This was the missed call series that they had, which resulted in all the puns. You had the Hall A, which is $60 currently. These all come with LTI, by the way. Some stats on the Hall A. It's a 21.7 meters long, 8.2 meter beam, 4 meter height, and has a cargo capacity of 75. It's a one-person crew. So, like, compare that to your Auroras and your Hornets, which I think have like 16 and 12 cargo capacity and are only like $10 cheaper or so, right?
Right.
It's
About right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The Hull B, which is also one-person crew, was $90. It's only $30 more. 49.2 meters, so about twice as long, about twice as high on the beam, 15.7. Height was 17.3, which is like 4 times bigger for height, and its cargo capacity then skyrockets to 600, which is pretty crazy. I was considering buying one just because of that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah. Then we also have the Hull C, $200, 104 long, 40 beam, 40 height, cargo capacity 4,800, 3-person crew.
Yeah. I mean, this
For
was
$200.
tempting as well. This was the one
Yeah.
that I was like looking at my wallet, looking at the screen, looking at my wallet. It's like
Back at the screen.
I don't
Now
need
back
it.
to the wallet. Back to the screen.
I don't
back
need
to the
it.
wallet.
I'm not going to use it enough to justify it, probably.
Well, like,
Because cargo hauling isn't my thing.
I wrote my stats in my reclaimer down to like compare. My reclaimer was 35 or 350. It's 158 meters long, so it's about a third longer. It's about twice as big on the beam. It's 95 beam. 50-meter height's only 10 high, but overall it's a much larger ship, right?
Right.
Its cargo capacity is only 2,500 though, so it's got like almost half the cargo capacity of the Hull C.
Right.
and it's a 5-person crew instead of a 3-person crew. So like that made me go, damn it.
I know.
uh,
Well, it'd be
I'm
nice
still
to
glad
have
I've got
a
the reclaimer,
yeah.
but
It'd be nice to have a Hull C or something sitting next to you while you're mining with your reclaimer, like running, the ore back and forth or something.
well, like I don't know if I can mine with a reclaimer unless I like convert it a bunch because it's a salvager. It's not a miner. You know,
I thought it could mine. I thought that was
I think you can like make it a miner, but it won't be anywhere near as good as the Orion, obviously.
well, right.
So like
Okay.
this might be your ideal situation: is you have a reclaimer with an Orion with like a Hull C, and like whatever you get with the reclaimer and the Orion, you just pack onto the Hull C, and then you
Yeah.
transport it with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, then the Hull D was 350, about the same cost as the reclaimer. It's 5-person crew, just like that one was. It's actually bigger in length than the reclaimer and bigger in height, but its beam was slightly less. So I don't know, like overall mass wise, which one's bigger. I didn't look that up. Cargo capacity just gets stupid with that though. It's 21,600 for the cargo capacity. It's like,
That's a ton.
it's, yeah, it's four. It's over 4 times the Hull C in cargo capacity.
Yeah.
Well, then we have the Hull E, which was $550, which I'll never own a Hull E. It's too
Nope.
much. There's no reason. It's 372 meters long, 104-meter beam, 104-meter height, cargo capacity, 153,600. Still 5-person crew. But
That
like,
is ginormous.
how would you ever fill that freaking thing? It would take
I think
forever.
I think someone said this thing is bigger than an Idris.
I bet.
Like
Yeah.
this thing is ginormous.
Well, the only reason I would get one of these is to convert it into a warship, with
Right.
all its slots. Like, get rid of all the cargo carrying capacity and put in, like, turrets and shield generators and crap like that.
Right. Just make it the ugliest looking like weapons platform in
Or,
the
like,
game.
if you could hook up, like, 24 Merlins to it with little hangar things and just make it like a mobile fighter carrier, that would be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool too, actually.
Yeah,
That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be the only use I would ever have for a Holly. I will never fill a cargo that much.
Yeah, no way.
Like, I would have to have a huge organization with people dedicated towards filling this thing just to make it worth it.
Right. There's no way any like individual person's going to be able to make use of an E or probably even a D.
Yeah, like I could see a C. If that would be like high-end solo gameplay, is you have a C that you fill up with cargo, right? I no way would I ever use a D or E,
No.
unless like I was talking, you convert it into a warship of some kind.
Right.
Then we had the Hullapalooza pack, which is essentially all of these combined for $1,250, which you're not saving any money. It's the same cost either way. If you buy them all separate or you buy them together as a pack like that.
Yeah.
Oh well, pretty cool. I'm glad that we have a general line of haulers, though. Kind of like in Star Wars, where you get the YT series.
Right.
There's different kinds.
Medium transports, etc.
Yeah. Apparently, the Hull C is supposed to be the most common ship in the galaxy. They said too in the design post.
That makes sense.
It'll be pretty cool to see them everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm like, attacking them and like taking their cargo and putting in my reclaimer. I mean, I won't even be able to fit all their cargo, but I'm still gonna make them drop it all anyway.
Right, exactly.
Fit what I can, destroy the rest. Just be a jerk. In front of them too. I won't let them leave until I blow every single crate in front of them.
Gotta make them watch like Clockwork Orange style. Like, force their eyes open.
Yeah. You will watch. Do you see? Do you see? Oh man.
Yes.
Then we had 10 for the artist, episode 1. This one, I like the 10 for the producers and I like the 10 for the chairman because we get a good variety of everything. Whereas when they do these specialized ones, I don't like them as much, but they're still super informative. So I've kind of got mixed feelings on how I feel about them,
Yeah, I mean, it's just a topic that in general doesn't interest me as much as the other ones. You know what I mean? Like the art in the game is kind of tertiary for me, as it is in most games. Like, I mean, I played Dwarf Fortress for God's sake. Like that's the least graphic intensive game ever, and so like.
That said, we do like pretty things.
We do. I do. Don't get me wrong. I will gush all over the game when it's gorgeous, and I know it's going to be gorgeous. I almost would rather be like surprised
Right.
in this respect. You know what I mean? Like the gameplay stuff I want to know about so I can kind of plan ahead and think about it. The art stuff I kind of want to like walk into the world and then be like, oh my god, that's beautiful. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. Like you're exploring something for the first time.
Right.
That makes sense. Anyway.
It's like Skyrim when you walk into that game and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, have you seen some of the mods that they've done, which make it look even prettier too?
Oh, yes. They are ridiculous.
Like I don't know. Like it almost made me go back to play Skyrim just to try out one of those mods, but you know.
True.
I had too much going on with other games.
As long as you don't have to pay for it on Steam, right?
Oh man, did you hear about the backlash?
Oh yeah. Oh well, they shut it down already.
Yeah, they apparently lost $1 million a day, and they only had it open for 3 days, and they only made $10,000 from people buying stuff.
That's
so
brutal.
It cost them, 290,000 some odd, or I'm sorry, it cost them $2,990,000 to pretty much piss off the gamer community. Yeah. It was, yeah.
Anyway.
That was awesome. Anyway, 10 for the artists. So this was with Lance Powell and Elwin Bakula? Scott Bakula?
Scott Bakula?
And they kind of jumped all over the place, but I actually put the questions in the order they were supposed to read them. So these aren't necessarily in the same order that they addressed them in the video. They're in the order that he said they were in. So the first question was, how do components, rooms, power plants, shield generators, weapons influence the design, interior and exterior of the ships? So for the smaller ships, it's a little bit bigger influence because it will affect how the ship looks. Like if you have a certain size requirement that an engine needs to be, the engine will have to be that size. And the Merlin apparently has heavily changed because of this, because it is such a small ship that every single little part needs to fit it.
Right.
Which, it makes sense. For the larger ships, they can kind of fudge factor because you can't really see the interiors a lot, and they can make stuff fit where they need to. But
right.
It still does affect how they end up fixing the design, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that they talked about that.
Yeah.
What type of reference materials are used for weapons and ships? How do you get your inspiration for the design? So this essentially boils down to, they look at real world examples, like how does a turret normally look? How does an engine normally look? How does a plate of glass look? How does, whatever. And then they try and make that also have distinctions between the ship makers. So an anvil ship looks like an anvil ship. Aegis looks like an Aegis. They've talked about this in the past.
Right.
With previous 10-4s. What is the concept for aliens, animals, plants? When will we start seeing them? So the alien races are actually currently being fleshed out by the writers, and kind of once the details are figured out, then they'll start working more on like the overall concept and how things will look. This will include like how that look will change based on the environment they're in. So for example, if it's a heavy gravity world, that'll affect how they look versus a low gravity world, so forth.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense.
I hope they also take into consideration things like, atmosphere and stuff like that too. Like I don't want it to just be, oh, it's a gravity world, so these guys are short.
I would think so.
Yeah. Let's see. We also had, do the artists hang out and exchange ideas? No, they hate each other. They never talk to each other. They're
It's almost like
of course they
this was a bad question.
What? Me?
I know.
Comment on a question?
I know. This was actually a pretty horrible question.
Of course they talk to each other. Duh.
Right.
God.
But how can you get work done if you don't talk to each other? It doesn't matter what field you're in.
This is a question asked by people that have never worked in a corporate office environment.
Yeah.
Or any type of project with a group.
Right.
Anyway. Are you designing clothing to allow for customizations? They've talked about this in the past. Patterns, colors, materials. Yes. They're trying to set up the customizations across the board, so the customization challenges aren't with the customizations themselves, but with the background technology that allows them to make these customizations go in game.
Yep.
So there you go.
We knew about that.
Yeah. Us commenting the fact that we're repeating questions. It's almost like our last video was a direct comment on that. Oh,
yeah.
Anyway. Since the ship pipeline has changed multiple times, how do you handle them in art phase? Do you draw from the inside out or outside in? And the answer is they do both. I mean, ideally, with any iterative development, you have just it goes back to the beginning and redo and reflesh out. Their ideal process, they said, was concept to reconcepting depending on the function, modeling the geometry, custom normals make the geometry look better, the material pass, defining how the surfaces look. Then they also have the destructible portions of it, like how it look when it starts getting bullet holes, and then also the animations where stuff opens up, closes, lights up, blinks, whatever.
Yeah. That was cool to know. That makes sense.
Yeah. 7, are there any cool stuff that you're excited to see in game? The Reliant, which is a misc ship, apparently looks cool. And I was like, oh, why can't we get a Pokemon silhouette of that?
Right?
You know?
Right? Right. The one time I want the Pokemon, you don't give it to me.
Anything.
Come on.
Reliant, I choose you. You got to damage it first before you can capture it, though, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh
so
man,
let's
I just had a
it.
meta. I just had a meta moment. Star Citizen is Pokemon in space.
Oh no.
You got to catch them all. That's how you collect all the ships, right?
I know.
You got to damage them first before you can capture them.
It's kind of true. Oh god, you're so right.
We're outside observers forcing these ships to fight to the death for our amusement. Oh man,
my mind is wrinkled.
Mind blown. Mind blown.
You're wrinkling my brain, man.
You're welcome. Question 8. How do you deal with negative criticism when presenting something you'd otherwise be proud of? Well, first you drink heavily. Then you go home, you buy a gun, you point it at your head, and you pull the trigger because your life is over.
That got dark.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wait. It's almost like this is also a stupid question. You learn not to take it personally as it's a team effort. Well, no kidding. I mean, not everybody likes everything. Like, there are people that don't like Flight Deck or show, but those people are wrong. I mean, I'm not going to get upset because people are wrong.
Right. We can't help that. I mean, people are wrong about a lot of stuff all the time.
Oh, man.
Especially about our show. And I'm people who like Book Smashers.
Oh. I'm at about a 1.5 Vegeta arrogance level right there.
Yeah. We are the hype.
We are the hype. How do you get your start in 3D modeling? This was actually a good question. This one I actually liked because this was a general, hey, how did you get your start? What should I do if I'm interested in learning? You know, those are questions I appreciate. So the first thing they offered was learn a tool where it's 3ds Max, Maya, whatever you want to use. Most of the tools will have online tutorials and help, but really it doesn't matter if you learn the tool if you're not passionate about 3D modeling. So, don't pick it up just to pick it up. Pick it up because you like doing it.
Right.
So that was their long 6 to 7 minute spiel boiled down to you in a little bit. Then question 10, can we expect to see cool graffiti and alien-inspired art? This was actually kind of addressed, but I'll allow it because they did the alien aspect to it as well. Because they had previously mentioned, we're going to have graffiti and stuff like that when a planet's being run down and, the economy's bad and all this. They'd mentioned that. So bad on you for that. But because you did the alien-inspired art, I'll allow this question. So good on you for that.
And surprisingly, the answer is
yes. Shocker, right?
I know.
Yeah. Then we had 1.1.2 is now in PTU for anybody that's been keeping track, that was plastered all over the website. So let's talk about some of the gameplay that they're adding with this one. They've added the flight tutorial, which sounds pretty awesome. Actually, there's going to be like launching from the hangar and like listening to instructions and doing various stuff like that, which will be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll go through it.
They've added a conversation system that allows NPCs to detect a character's location and initiate dialogue. That I'm not sure on. That might be...
Whoa. That'll probably be buggy as heck. You'll be clear across your hangar.
Well, it's like when you're in Skyrim and like a stupid guard walks up to you and is like, I once took an arrow to the knee. You're like, come on, shut up. I don't want to talk to you. Same way I have with people in real life when they come up and talk to me randomly and I don't want to talk to them. It's annoying, Yeah,
I tend to agree.
Yeah. I could never be a celebrity because like 90% of the time I'd just be pissed off of people approaching me. Then they added back-end functionality for the game events to disable and enable specific ship controls and ship systems, which to me means, oh, we're going to take damage, and with that damage, we're not going to be able to operate certain functions of the ship, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Or, also hackers taking control of your stuff, I imagine, too, right?
Yeah. That'd be sweet. I want to hack stuff. I want free stuff.
That's how hacking works. Like, literally,
Right.
you just look at a screen, and 30 seconds later, you have control of somebody's system with,
Exactly.
4 lines of C code. That's how it worked
Well,
in Swordfish.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
And, you can totally design a virus that works on an alien computer system like an Independence Day and a night. I mean, that's just common sense. I mean, really, Alien Hacking 101 is a required course in all colleges because they first had the same exact file system and operating system that we use, so therefore we'll be able to hack in no problem.
I actually read a defense of that one time, and now I can not remember at all what it entailed.
Their defense was
because
wrong.
It probably wasn't right, but yeah,
arbitrarily putting down. It's like when there was another one that I really liked, which is CSI. They're like, we're going to write a VB GUI interface to track the hacker's IP address.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, that what?
Why would you need to write a VB GUI to do that? That's first of all.
There are several YouTube videos of people responding to that, creating a VB GUI interface, which is essentially just a Windows window with a button that says track killer's IP.
Yep.
It was really funny.
Yeah, I did some Visual Basic in college, and that's literally what you do is you make little windows in Windows that do stuff. That's it.
But it sounds really good when you don't know what you're talking about and you say something, right?
It's true. It's true. A lot of people like to use the word GUI just because it makes them sound, hip and in with the nerds.
The hipster nerd.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I turn my brain off a lot of the time, but it's sometimes just so stupid. I can't, I just can't. I have to get up and walk away. That and some legal stuff where it's really, this is how your legal system supposedly works according to Law and Order and CSI and all this stuff.
Right.
I'm always amazed at how quick trials happen in those systems. It's not like somebody sits in their jail cell for half a year before they even get their trial date.
Right. It's next day.
Yeah. It's
we're ready.
2 weeks later. Yeah.
Yeah. Bureaucracy magically does not exist in Law and Order.
Well, then, let's see, what else did they talk about in this? And we had added in-hangar flight system for usage in the tutorial, so you can fly around in your hangar now in the tutorial.
I'm going to crash so much.
Well, of course, that's the whole point. It's not to, fly around or anything. I think with that, they also mentioned that they'll add in, some effects of, pushing off, dust and dirt and stuff like that, too.
Ooh, cool.
So, yeah. For ships, they added animation to the thruster irises and the cutlass. They added audio for getting into the cockpit of the Redeemer. Added dust effects for when thrusters are being used inside the hangar, so you'll be kicking up dust.
Cool.
User interface, they added screen effects for the tutorial, so hint nodes and stuff like this. They also added icons and images for tutorial hints, and they added images for tutorial mode select. They added a visual shader in the holotable to identify what items were purchased through rec. And they've also implemented user interface messages to players explaining reasons they may have been kicked back to the hangar. Instead of you're just suddenly back in the hangar.
Right.
So
I was
helpful
hoping they just
stuff.
kind of mostly fix that, but I know they're trying to.
Well, I mean, even in the persistent universe, you should still have a message saying why you've been kicked out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. For the environment, they've added animations and audio for the hangar doors of the asteroid hangar in the tutorial to open and close, which will be awesome. You remember, was it PAX a couple of years ago? Or when was it they showed, the hangar opening and then, the Hornet flying out and then Chris Roberts ramming an asteroid and all this stuff?
Oh, that was,
It was a while ago.
Yeah, that was one of the first Arena Commander demos.
Yeah, it was God, a year and a half ago.
That sounds right. PAX East, I think.
Well, it was a while ago, but now we're finally getting that.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Yay!
And if you think about it, that's a major component to the game too, being able to lift off your hangar and fly around in space. So
probably necessary.
A little bit.
A little bit.
They also added animations for timeout meter and capture the core, and they added a new hangar flare car to all miniature, which
that's just for subscribers, wasn't it?
Well, all Flare is just for subscribers usually.
Yeah.
And unless it's like a
Backer
anniversary
flare.
thing
There is
or
backer flare.
Yeah, but I'm fairly certain this is just more subscriber Flare.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So that was everything that came out this week.
Woo!
My voice is now dead.
Right, that was a lot of stuff.
It was a lot, but it was also really cool, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain too much.
Nope.
You have any other news you wanted to bring up?
Oh yeah, so I don't know if you heard, but there's been a new Dragon Ball series announced with Akira Toriyama attached to it. So
I'm just gonna
Dragon Ball Super.
Scroll a little bit over on my notes under the anime movies and all that section. New Dragon Ball series, Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, I had heard.
Yeah, pretty excited about that. I guess. I mean, it's still not as good as Dragon Ball Z Abridged, but it's still nice to have new stuff.
Nothing's ever going to be as good as Dragon Ball Z Abridged because Dragon Ball Z Abridged gets it.
Yeah.
It's not something you can take seriously.
Exactly. It's really good. So it'll be interesting to see. They haven't really talked about what the series is going to be about.
I think this is probably due to the new Dragon Ball movie, Fukatsu no F, or whatever the heck it's called, being like so insanely popular in Japan. Like, didn't it sell a billion tickets or some crap like that? They were saying?
$1 billion yen, which is like 100 million US gross sales or something. Like, it's hugely popular.
Yeah.
It is like one of the most popular anime movies ever. So
there you go. Apparently there's a market for it.
Yeah, right. And I guess the series comes out in July. So
that's a lot quicker than you'd expect.
Right?
But I mean, it is just Dragon Ball. It doesn't take long to come up with a plot. No. Here's what I'm guessing. There's some super strong enemy that shows up, right?
No. What?
And then they need to train.
Really?
And then after they train, they fight.
And I don't know,
Goku wins.
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty out there.
Oh man, I'm not sure.
That Goku wins. Hey, maybe Krillin will win for once.
No,
come on,
no.
We can dream.
Krillin gets owned. He gets another ding to the own counter.
Poor Krillin.
I read a synopsis for the new Dragon Ball Z movie. So, spoiler alert.
What? I don't know anything about it. Oh. Don't spoil me too much.
Apparently, Vegeta has some badass moments in it.
Okay, that's okay.
That's all I'll say.
All right, good. So, that's all I need.
All those situations where you're like, oh man, Vegeta's looking like a punk. Apparently, he doesn't look like a punk in this movie. Finally, so
awesome. Thank God. He needed some. He needed some more badass moments.
Yeah. So that's all I'll say. But it sounds pretty cool.
I can't wait till it comes out in the U.S.
Isn't that like it's supposed to be coming up like in May, right?
Yeah, they're gonna put it in theaters. I believe. I should see if it's gonna come out in someplace near me.
Someplace near you previously mentioned on a previous podcast.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, somewhere near me.
Somewhere near
so I could watch it. I want to see it in theaters.
Yeah.
I really do.
I'm sure it will be out by me. I'm in Chicago, so there'll be someplace in Chicago that will have it. Whether I have to drive an hour and a half through ridiculous traffic or not will be another story.
You might be able to take the trains.
Dude, it's been bad. I think some pedestrian got hit by a train yesterday because a lot of things were delayed for like 2 hours.
Well, the CTA Blue Line, went off the rail at O'Hare or something, and
that was that was a year ago.
Oh, was that a year ago?
Yeah, the operator was super tired or something because they'd been working back-to-back shifts because of bad scheduling.
Oh, okay.
And so they fell asleep at it and literally it went off the rails and up the escalator or whatever.
That's right.
Quite a ways.
Okay, that was a year ago. Okay, they were just talking about it on the radio the other day, so I wasn't sure if that was
that. Well, that's because the Transportation Commission or whatever is in charge of trains came out with the thing saying, you're making them work terrible hours, and you should have safety measures in place to automatically stop the train after they get past a certain point, and all this stuff. So
wow, that seems pretty common sense.
Yeah. Well, when it initially came out, everybody was blaming the operator.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that the report's well, though they were at fault, you should have been doing this too. So
right. So basically, there's a lot of people at fault.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, also, if we wanted to talk even more news, there's the whole stuff going on, out east by Washington and Baltimore.
Right. Yeah, I don't really need to talk about any of that.
I'm just saying it's crazy that the game was no fans ever. That's the craziest thing to me.
I listened to it on the radio just to see what it was like. It was super weird.
Like
'Cause
no
there's, like,
sound of
yeah,
crowd or anything.
yeah, exactly. There's no sound except for like the bats cracking and like
Oh
you
man.
can hear a few people yelling on the field, and that's like it. So it's
Well,
kind
like
of surreal.
it'd be weird. Like who's gonna be cheering for you then? Your teammates. That's the only
Yep.
people there.
Yeah, exactly. You could hear people yelling out of the dugouts occasionally,
Like
and that's like
yeah,
it.
go man.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
crazy.
So yeah, I'm off to the Kentucky Derby. Yeah,
Hopefully, there's a bit more of a crowd there.
there will be. It'll be packed. Always packed.
Well, if you make a ton of money, just remember the little people.
Oh, I won't. I'm freaking taking a vacation to Europe. See ya.
Oh man. Hey, I have many times told you if I win a certain amount of money in the lottery, take care of you.
Yeah, but
Where's the love?
I'd have to make a lot of money at the Kentucky Derby. That's
Well, just bet well. God.
just bet well. Yes, okay, I got this.
Win every bet and put your entire life savings on every bet. I mean, come on, that's all you
Oh,
got to do.
that's all I gotta do. Oh God, I guess I didn't think
Don't you
that through.
understand gambling? Come on. This is how it works.
Clearly, I don't. Man, I guess I've been doing it wrong all this
You
time.
you put everything out there, and when you win big, and
I
you don't
gotcha.
lose. You just bet correctly.
You just bet correctly. All right, I
Yeah.
got this.
All right. Well, you have anything else you want to talk about?
No.
All right, that's it for this week's episode of the Flight Deck. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.